Adamowski, Adamson,
Here.
Adler,
Here.
Anderson, Anderson,
Here.
Bueller, Bueller, Bueller.
ADA, which stands for Average Daily Attendance. Average Daily Attendance was started January 1st, 2001. It was started for the Foundation School Program Funds. It states that all superintendents, all principals, and all teachers must be held accountable to their state and school boards for their current attendance records. For instance, if you have a student that appears in class after attendance has been taken, and that student has not made an alternative attendance account, then that student is therefore considered to be absent.
According to the Texas Administration Code, ADA was proposed on June 2nd of 2000. 2 months later, it was adopted on July 28th. Julie Jobert-Gilroy writes that the schools are paid on a scale where the students are weighed based on their classifications. For example, a regular student weighs 1 point and brings in about $3,500 for 1 year. A gifted and talented student weighs 0.12 and brings in a little bit over $400 a year. ESL students rank even lower and bring in $350 per year. Special ed students weigh in at 5 and bring in almost $18,000 for 1 year. That's 5 times the amount of a regular student, and there's an even bigger difference between the special ed and GT students. If there is not an incentive with funding for GT students, then what motivation are schools going to have to test the children? These schools are allowing students to slip through the cracks.
ADA should not be a determining factor for school funding. One of the many flaws of ADA is that it is not an accurate representation of school attendance. In fact, studies show that ADA is known to mask the problem of chronic absenteeism in schools. AttendanceWorks.org defines chronic absenteeism as missing at least 10% of school due to any reason. Only schools who have an ADA rate of 97% rarely have a problem with chronic absenteeism. However, schools that still have high ADA rates still are at risk for having chronic absences very prevalent in their schools. According to the article, even in a school of 200 students with a 95% ADA, 30% of the students could be missing up to a month of school over the course of the school year. That's 60 students, which is obviously a very serious problem. As you can see by the graph, ADA is strongly correlated with the rate of chronic absences. Even with ADA of 93%, the rate of chronic absences is 21%, which is extremely high. Chronic absences are the most important and serious kind of absences because it takes the greatest toll on a child's education. Since this issue is easily masked by ADA, funding provided for schools due to ADA is not only inefficient, it's not fair, and it doesn't increase attendance levels, and thus it does not increase learning.
Although ADA is supposed to serve as a motivator for improved attendance, it doesn't necessarily keep kids in school. Teachers are required to take attendance in the morning. That way, in case a student leaves early, the school still gets credited for federal and monetary reasons that the student has been there the entire day. For example, if a student gets sick and goes to the nurse will not send the student home until after attendance has been taken. This way, the school still gets the money as if the child were there and did not go home early. Students who miss school are stereotyped as lazy, unproductive, and careless, but these are not the only cases. In a lower economic class, if a child gets sick, the parent may not be able to miss work to take care of the child, and therefore an older sibling may have to skip school in order to stay home with the child. The fourth assumption of a culturally competent system says that schools should recognize that family concepts are different for various subgroups and cultures. Although absences shouldn't be encouraged, special circumstances should be considered for these students. Another group of absences come from religious holidays. The way that a school calendar works, all students are off on the Christian holidays such as Good Friday and Christmas. It doesn't work the same way for all religions though. For example, a Muslim student may be supposed to be in class on one of his holidays. So therefore, it counts as an excused absence, but he misses class and the school still gets docked funding for that student. The second assumption of a culturally competent system is that it acknowledges cultures as a predominant force in shaping behaviors. Lawmakers are ethnocentric, and they do not see how religions and cultures other than their own will play into absences and ultimately hurt the schools. If we are a nation founded on religious freedom and unique cultures, then it is wrong that we take funding away for religious absences.
Due to the reduction of funds because of low attendance, schools experience a lack of resources such as technology to be able to use in the classroom. This relates to the second principle of multicultural education because these resources are needed to reach out to all the different types of learning styles among the students. Also, with the reduction of these funds, because of low attendance, schools lack the sufficient programs needed for gifted and talented students. According to the Teaching Gifted Students in a Multicultural Society article, the purpose of these classes is to develop and nurture abilities of children. Just because other students are missing school should not prevent or hinder quality of education of those who attend school. Another consequence of low funding is that teachers are not always adequately equipped with the right resources, which can lead to self-fulfilling prophecy in both the students and the teachers. If less funding is given to schools whose students are already struggling, then it just encourages the students to believe that they are not capable of succeeding in their education. It affects the teacher's efficacy, in which, according to Nancy Gallivan, is the teacher's belief in their capability of successfully accomplishing a specific task. The lack of resources allows teachers to believe that they are not capable of helping their students, and the cycle just continues. We believe that school funding based purely off of attendance is wrong and should be modified. A system of school funding based on overall school enrollment would be a better alternative. First of all, funding based off of attendance hurts the students who actually attend class. The quality of their education depends on whether or not their peers choose to attend class. When students fail to attend class, the school loses funding. Therefore, by using the enrollment policy, the schools will not lose funding by those students who do not attend class. Second, funding schools based off enrollment instead of attendance creates a level playing field. Schools will get the same amount per student, and it will improve the quality of learning in many schools. Funds based off enrollment will also make funds more predictable. The more predictable the funds are, the better schools can plan their budgets. Therefore, basing funding off of enrollment is a better solution to get the schools the funding they deserve and need.
Well, there you have it. ADA. In our opinion, maybe not the best way to fund schools. But after hearing all this, we'll let you be the judge of that.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.